Hello, warriors. I'm going to say that again. Hello, warriors. And I'm going to emphasize warriors because you need the reminder that you are a warrior. I had one of our warriors say to me today, I feel like giving up. And listen, I understand. First and foremost, I understand. I understand that this is a dark and difficult, arduous, and at times brutal journey. The awakening process, despite what others may say, can be exceptionally difficult, especially for those of us that have a lot of trauma, because we have to face that trauma, one thing after another, and at the same time, our 3D reality is completely and utterly collapsing around us. All of the tools and the techniques we once used to numb, distort, depress aren't working anymore. And so now we have to face this stuff sober and with the fear that arises. And the fear can be very debilitating. And the emotions can be very debilitating. And the thinking can be exceptionally debilitating. The whole process can be debilitating. So first and foremost, let's identify the fact and look at what is truth. The truth is you are awakening. The second truth is awakenings are difficult. So we're going to change our expectations. We can no longer just sit in the energies that we once sat in, with the coping mechanisms that we once used, and the limiting beliefs and the cognitive distortions and all of the other things that kept everything in a state of, I think I got control over this thing called life. Part of the awakening process is letting go of control and allowing it to collapse. So I hereby do not give anybody permission to give up. That is not an option. That is simply not an option. I forbid it. What I do give permission is for us to way lower our expectations and allow ourselves to have the grace and the compassion and the kindness and the gentleness that should be afforded to us while we are going through these dramatic shifts and changes. So if that means that you are in a state of collapse, then collapse. I give you permission to collapse. I give you permission to get a pillow and a blanket and lie in the grass for the day and just breathe. Just breathe. That's your only thing that you need to do. I give you permission to be a puddle, to just cry, to purge, to let it all out. I give you permission to feel like, I can't do this. This is too much. I give you permission to feel any feeling, whether it be anger, anxiety, fear, terror, anguish, sorrow, grief, confusion, doubt. But I do not give you permission to give up. We can lie down, we can face these things on our backs, but we will continue to breathe. One breath at a time. One day at a time. In the here and now, look around. I am in my garden. My beautiful cat is here beside me. Come say hi to everyone. See? Right? There's a cricket. I am safe. I am safe in the here and now. The fuckeries that are my 3D realm that have been coming at me for 4 solid years of stuff falling apart. Job loss, marriage disintegration, revelations of the degree of toxicity, trauma bonds, coping mechanisms, the letting go of all the coping mechanisms, health crises, legal battles, death, loss. You name it, I've experienced it on this awakening path. It is very difficult. We are attached to our attachments. That's why they're called attachments. We are attached to the things that we once used, the actions that we once showed up in, and the thinking that we once did. We're attached to all of that. Our ego likes all of those things. I loved smoking. I loved it. Loved it. It was very soothing to me. But that's not an option anymore. We need to let go of those things that are toxic to us and are not in alignment with this awakening process. We have to let go of the toxic things in our physical realm, the toxic things in our emotional realm, the toxic things in our mental realm. And that is what this purification process is bringing us back to our true source. Bringing us back to the soul essence that we were born with. Bringing us back into wholeness, into completion. So while it may feel like everything is coming apart, what is in actuality happening is the very opposite, that we are coming back together. And while it may feel like I can't do this, that's because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do all of the things that you were indoctrinated into thinking that you had to do. You don't need to do. You need to be. You need to just be. Just be in a mess. Just be in failure. Just be in collapse. We have these crazy notions in our head that we need to succeed all the time. We need to have action all the time. We need to be, financially abundant. We need this, we need that. We need to manifest. Oh my God, I'm trying to manifest the very best life for myself. Well, what if the very best life for yourself that you are trying to manifest requires you to go through a process of detoxification and go through a process of suffering? So while you're praying for these amazing things to happen, they can't happen until you go through the shitty stuff, until you release the things that aren't working. You cannot get from here to there if you're still tied to the dock. So the process of clipping all of the cycles, of breaking the trauma bonds, of breaking the habits, of breaking the thinking, of breaking all of our ways of being to get us to the way we want to be is going to be difficult. So give yourself peace in saying, oh my God, it's okay. It is okay to completely and utterly collapse. It is okay to not be in success all of the time. It is okay to not be perfect all of the time. It is okay to cry. It is okay to scream. It is okay to not be able to get out of your bed. If that's where you're at, and if that's where you are being challenged in this present moment in time, and whether you are being challenged on the physical, with health issues, with letting go of addictions, whether you're being challenged on the emotional to face certain core fears. And listen, I have faced so many fears along this process, and you've seen me. I've not done it standing in a heroic pose with poise and beautiful language. I've done it shaking. I've done it quivering. I've done it with tears pouring from my face puffy and wrinkled, my not being able to eat not being able to sleep, my not being able to accomplish or do anything as I lay in bed just praying for there to be relief come to me soon. You've seen videos of me bawling my eyes out crying. You've seen videos of me in an absolute state of I can barely talk, stammering, terrified of reactions. It's okay. It's okay. It has to collapse for it to be rebuilt. And we are the first wave that is, or it's not even the first wave, because we're actually probably the second or third or fourth wave at this stage, because people started waking up back in 2012. So there have been those that have come before us and got out the other end, who are helping and guide us. There are those of us that are still in it, that are helping and guiding us get through it. And then there are the next wave that is already starting to wake up. And it will continue. This isn't something that we have control over. Our old belief structures, not just within our egoic mind, is collapsing, but everything therefore outside of us will begin to collapse to match the vibrational frequency. This is one of those moments in history where we go from being, Neanderthal man into the next level and jumped in consciousness. We've had this in our history. We know that man went from using stones to all of a sudden fashioning fancy tools. What happened? An awakening happened. A conscious shift happened. And then man moved and was like, okay, now I'm going to melt some iron and use iron. And then I'm going to become a Renaissance man and use paints and move into the age of enlightenment. And now we're going to move from the age of insanity into hopefully some degree of sanity. So if everything feels insane around you right now, that's because all of the structures are being exposed that were never sane to begin with. This isn't the age of reason that we've been living in. It's been the age of delusion. And as the delusions start to clear, not only from our own perspective, and we awaken to a whole new level of reality, it's overwhelming. And ego doesn't like it. And your ego is going to try to convince you of all kinds of nonsense. Call it the ego. Call it the devil whispering in your ear. Call it spiritual warfare. It doesn't matter what you call it. If you're sitting at home and you're thinking to yourself, oh my dear God, I think I'm dying. This is it. I think I have no choice. This is what's happening. Your body is not dying. And listen, I've been there. I've prepared for my death many times through this awakening process, getting my affairs in order, thinking that this is surely what was going to happen. But that's not what happens. That's the ego or the devil in your ear whispering to you that that is what's happening. What's happening is your ego is dying. Your ego is dissolving. Your ego wants to stay in control. And this is all about letting go of control. There is no control. There is surrender. Surrender. And surrender some more. I have just recently done a video which has got an audio only, no intro, no ending, so it's not going to disturb you on either end of it, of reparenting your inner child. Because while you're going through these processes of purification and purging, your inner child wounds are activated. The trauma brain begins to think all kinds of thoughts. Your inner child is screaming out. Your inner child is screaming because it's on its way back home to self. All the fractured pieces are coming back to self. So hop on over. I put it out last week. Reparenting Your Inner Child Through Difficult Emotions, I believe is its name. Use that as a resource if you're in a state of collapse, if you're in puddle pose. Life is not always about being in mountain pose. Sometimes we will get pulled down to the very core of us. So get outside, ground, lie in a hammock, accept the fact that you're not going to get everything done the way you used to. It's because the time of doing is shifting into the time of being, so that we can be in the present moment, so that we can be who we were born to be, so we can be soul, in-souled, as opposed to in-egoed, shifting from the egoic age into the soul age. It is okay if you feel overwhelmed. It is okay if you are struggling. It is okay if it feels like it's all too much. All you have to do is breathe. That's it. All other expectations, I'm taking off the table. I'm taking off the table. I'm letting you know that it's okay to just be a mess. Healing is messy. If you need help, please do not suffer in silence. Reach out, send a message, book with me for a one-on-one Zoom so we can talk through some of the challenges that you're facing. All of my services are donation-based. Join the Spiritual Warrior Support Group. Ask other people over there what you're going through if you have questions. Leave a question, leave a comment. Some of the other community that follows me might have something they want to share or add to your question or comment. You are not alone. You are not alone. So with that said, I'm sending you all my absolute love and compassion. And know that you are allowed to love yourself, even in the collapse. Peace out.